Okay. All right, everybody. Hello, good morning. We have our day after Treaty Day kind of crowd at the truck house. We have Keptin John Joe Sark, who's on his way to deliver a message at Treaty House tomorrow. And we have author Bill Gallagher, who wrote the book Resource Rulers, which chronicles an incredible winning streak of Aboriginal court cases in Canada. And he brought down a copy of my dad's obituary from the Globe and Mail. And so he's here for a little visit here. So I'm going to just turn over and share with our guest. Here's the truck house. There's Bill on the shore of the Shubenacadie Estuary River, holding the Fort 7 Bernard. So you wrote something and you're on your way to the truck house. Talk to us.
Well, I'll be doing a ceremony for the beginning of Mass tomorrow. And in the ceremony I talk about the water and what water means to us. And if I also ask the Creator to protect all the people that are protecting our waters. Because if they pollute the Shubenacadie River, it's going to also kill the eels and other aquatic life, which is a grave violation of our treaty rights.
Wonderful. So what time is the ceremony tomorrow?
I think it's at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I'm not sure.
Okay, we are bringing in a contingent from the truck house.
Oh, good.
So we'll be there. We won't be protesting loud, but we'll have our signs quietly in the parade. So we'll let everybody know.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. We're looking forward to that, and I'm so happy that you found your way here to the truck house this morning. It's a little wet and whoops, but we have our little fire going with tea for anybody that wants to come. We always have a pot of tea and some pretty good company, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have Dad's obituary there?
Oh, yeah, Dad, yes.
Bill's given me his book. I'm going to be reading it. I'll be armed and dangerous tomorrow. Watch out, industry. Watch out, Canada.
You may want to qualify that remark.
Well, they were saying there was a sniper in the woods. So I put up a picture of me in Vegas at a gun range with a gun. I'm not a real sniper, but I look good. Tell me about this, Bill, and your visit here to the shore.
Well, I've ended up going to almost every major First Nations land rights protest in this region. I've been through New Brunswick War in the Woods, both of them, and I've been at Burn Church, Rexton, and here I have an opportunity to see what's happening here on the Stewiacke River. In a few years back, I helped Inco come to terms with the two First Nations on Voisey's Bay. So I have been through some serious, very serious demonstrations of land rights for Indigenous people. And the ones that work are the ones that find constructive outcomes. And the ones that don't work or go sideways are the ones that everybody just stays in their silo and listens to all the wrong advisors. So I thought I'd come down here and indicate that there is some dialogue, there's room for dialogue that could be quite constructive and progressive. And so I'm here bringing to bear the First Nations National Energy Strategy that was published in the Globe and Mail on Aboriginal Day in June as a roadmap for the way forward. I thought your leadership would be interested in knowing that this is a national issue, not just local to here, and that you can't pick up a newspaper, including today's edition, and not read about 3 or 4 similar issues across the country.
Yeah. And you have my dad's obituary. We were driving and we were talking about it.
That I think this is significant here is that it's living history. This gentleman, Reg Maloney, won the rulings, the Simon rulings, that breathed life into the 1750, 1760 treaties. And then he went on to orchestrate the martial rulings that guarantee First Nations like this community a right to a moderate livelihood under those same treaties. Without this crusader going and winning these cases, all of which are won at the Supreme Court of Canada level. These are all Supreme Court of Canada victories. This is one of the most iconic persons in the whole native legal winning streak, which is now at 233. His wins are around number 10, 12. Like he's a front ender, and you know, he'd be very proud of seeing that this society is finally coming to terms with a new reordering of equitable principles in how we run this country.
I have questions on the honor of the Crown. We're appealing, and you know, the courts are not a good place for us, but we're appealing the minister's approval for Alton Gas, and the province of Nova Scotia's lawyers and legal arguments are pretty much questioning the validity of our treaties, despite the fact that they are Supreme Court of Canada decisions, despite the fact that, what's the number we're at now, 233 successful wins.
Just to put an emphasis on that, native legal win number 231 was the coastal First Nations voiding the permits on Northern Gateway Pipeline. So there you had, a decade later, a project that had a drum major and the former Prime Minister that is now a non-existent legal entity. It has no legal paperwork supporting that project at all. The appeal period has now expired, so it's a dead project. And so native legal win number 231, which killed a multi-billion-dollar pipeline project spearheaded by an Ottawa-Calgary alliance, basically, arguably, could be the absolute climax of the rise of Native empowerment in the whole sweep of a modern-day history of Canada for the last 25 years, which I've been tracking. And so this protest is really small potatoes compared to the events that are happening across the country. And so when you add on the fact that that's the extent of Native empowerment, and the fact that the whole economy is suffering until we come to a major reconciliation on this, it would make sense that while we have an opportunity to revisit a project like this and to try and engage on a more constructive basis, why wouldn't we do that? Because the alternatives of plain brinkmanship are not in corporate Canada's favor.
Yeah. And in fact, we were just talking about before that, as we were walking up on the dike, that, you know, we were having a hard time finding any benefit for Nova Scotians, and, you know, dumping salt brine into this river. And I'm going to show Bill the channel soon in the island where they say it's a channel, but it's actually just a diverted river. But it's hard for us to find any benefit to Nova Scotians too. So it goes back to the Crown. What's the Crown getting, and why they're not just ignoring the court cases and the wins, they're actively going back to court, wasting resources from taxpayers, fighting us again, and also they're failing in their duties and obligations to the honor of the Crown.
You know, because I'm literally parachuted in here. I mean, I obviously follow it from a distance. What I think the government of Nova Scotia has is a political problem. They are trying to back a project for, you know, regional development and jobs, but they've forgotten the most key component as to what makes projects successful in the current environment. I mean, in the paper today, in today's paper, or the local paper here, there's an article of Will and Kate being paddled around Haida Gwaii with First Nations paddlers all wearing T-shirts, no tankers, no pipelines, no LNG. I mean, so this is peaking on the West Coast. There's also a situation where in Calgary, where
okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Comes out.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Don't say nothing till after I deliver the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because somebody cut me off.
Oh, it's too late. It's live.
Oh, is it? Okay, that's okay.
It's out. We're all gonna come to hear it now.
Yeah, okay.
We're just building your audience.
Yeah.
It's nice to meet you. Pleasure. So you're with Bill. You're a Prince of the Island? You're from the island? Yeah. Pleasure.
I have written a book too on the treaties.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I have all your press releases. I have that.
Yeah.
2 authors here
Yeah.
at the truck house today.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I would say you're the leading elder in this whole entire maritime region.
I don't know about it.
I'm honored to have met you.
Yeah. It's like my father, the Indian agent, told him, come on in the woods and teach me what the names of the trees are. So my father said, that's a spruce tree, that's an oak tree, and that's a beech tree. And the agent looked down and said, what's that little tree over there? He said, oh, that's the son of a beech.
Good one.
Okay, we'll see.
The son of a
I
beech.
heard there was that side to you.
Oh. Yeah. So we were Will and Kate.
I'm just basically saying that in the local Halifax paper, there's 2 major articles in the weekend edition, both that have huge resource connotations. One having to do with the Royals' visit, the other having to do with the former head of Trans-Canada Pipeline coming out, looking for more equity and more fairness in the regulatory process. Well, they're only going to get that if they start taking these issues the same way. And I've got a recommendation out there that I've gone public with, that regulatory proceedings have to drop the whole notion of cross-examining First Nations members when they come to give when they come to speak to their land rights. They don't go there to be cross-examined. It's not an inquisition. It's supposed to be a conciliatory, process where people gain information. So that's just in today's Halifax regional paper, 2 articles. You were in the day before. This project was in the day before, and it'll no doubt be in next week. So I mean, there's no escaping the fact that there's a direct connection right across the country towards constructively managing and reconciling First Nations land rights with resource development. It's not going to happen any other way. And as I'm saying, just 2 weeks ago, the Northern Gateway is dead on arrival. It was preceded by, cheerleaded by the Prime Minister and his Natural Resources Minister, Mr. Oliver. And, they're now down to writing essays about what went wrong. But they don't acknowledge the rise of Native empowerment and that First Nations were the determinative factor in killing those projects, and that's the word, unless you want to work constructively with them.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We're going to have a cup of tea now, and thanks everybody for joining in.